trip at Freedom Truck Driving School. So we're going to do our outside inspection. We're going to start with our lights in the front. We got our headlights, our turn signals, and our clearance lights. Turn signal and clearance are amber in color. None of the lights are cracked. They're all functioning. None of them are missing. And that's good with headlights. So we're going to go inside. We're going to check this side. We're going to look for any oil or fluids pooling up on any of the metal parts or on the ground. We're listening for air leaks. I don't see any fluid and I don't hear any air leaks. This is my oil dipstick right here. Get a little closer. So this is the oil dipstick. To check the oil, I'll pull it out, wipe it clean, put it back in, take it out, read the level. Make sure you're doing this on flat ground and the truck is not running. If it was low, below the add level, I would fill it here. To get it from add to full, it's 1 gallon. This is my coolant reservoir right here. You can see the level on the side right here. Just make sure it's above this minimum line. You'll fill it right here through the cap. Make sure the engine isn't hot. That's it on this side. On this side, we're gonna check our last reservoir. It's our power steering fluid one right here. It's missing the cap, so this would be a dipstick, and where you would check it, just pull it out, read the level, and fill it as needed through this cap. Again, I don't hear any air leaks on this side from these wires or the air compressor or anything, and I don't see any fluid pooling up on the block or lower. No fluid leaks, no air leaks. Now we're going to move to our steering system. So we're going to check our gearbox. We're going to make sure all the nuts and bolts are present and tight, and it is properly secured to the frame. There is no damage to the gearbox. It's no dings, cracked, it's not bent, broken, and it is not leaking any power steering fluid from anywhere. Okay, now we're going to go over our 6 points, our 6 links of steering. 1 is your steering shaft or steering column. 2 is your pitman arm. 3 is your drag link. 4 is your upper steering knuckle and your lower steering knuckle. It's kind of hard to see. Just got a big castle nut down here. And then we got our tie rod way back here. So that's your 6 points. You don't need to know the names. You don't have to say the names on the test, but just count them off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're all properly mounted and secure. So make sure we're saying they're properly mounted and secure with U-joints and castle nuts, which are tight and present, with their cotter pins. There's multiple of them. No damage, good. Now we're done with steering, so now we're gonna move on to tire. So we're gonna inspect the outside sidewall of the tire and the inside. We're gonna feel the tire for any abrasions, bulges, cuts, any excessive wear. We're gonna look at the tread, make sure that we have no less than 4/32 of an inch, and you'll check it with a depth gauge. We're gonna check the PSI of the tire with a pressure gauge at this valve stem, and we are going to make sure it's filled up to the manufacturer specs of the tire. You'll find that on the outside. The rim or wheel is not cracked. There is no corrosion, and there is no illegal weld. So CCW, that's what they want to hear. So cracks, corrosion, illegal welds. You cannot say no damage. They want to hear cracks. The lug nuts are all present and tight. There's 10 of them. You could check them with a wrench, but they would need to be torqued once you find a shop if they were loose. You might see rust trails or shiny metals if they were loose or stripped. Check them out. Rim, tire done. We're gonna come back on the inside and we're gonna go over our brakes. All they want us to go over is the air line right here. Make sure it's properly secured and tightened on both ends, and there is no damage to the line, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and it is not leaking any air. Coming down a little bit further, we'll get into the brake pads and drums. Make sure there's at least a 1/4 inch of pad on your shoe, and there's no contaminants, no ice, oil, grease. No contaminants is the big thing. That's it for brakes. That's all they want us to cover. And now we're onto our suspension. So our leaf spring suspension right here is, the leaf springs are properly mounted and secured. They're not scissoring or shifting. They're not cracked or damaged. There is no illegal welds. They're properly secure with these hangers, front and rear, which are properly secured to the frame with all of their nuts and bolts present and tight. They're also secured to the axle with these U-bolts, which are present and tight. All 4 lug nuts on the bottom are tight. There's no damage in these U-bolts. They're good bolts. We have our shock here. It's properly secured on top and bottom. No loose bolts. There's no damage in the shock. It's not bent, cracked, broken, and it's not leaking any hydraulic fluid from the center. That's it for suspension. That's it for this part. We're going to move on. Outside of the engine bay, we're going to start with our mirror. Make sure it's properly mounted and secure. There is no damage to the mirror of any kind. It's not bent, broken, loose. All the mounting hardware to the door is secure and tight. We have our batteries here. We would take the cover off, check the batteries on the inside, make sure all of the batteries are secure in place and the wires are connected properly to the terminals and they're tight. They're also not leaking and they're up to date. Tank right here. So we're done with battery, now we're onto the tank. Tank is properly mounted and secure with these straps here, which are secured to the frame with all of their mounting hardware. There's no damage to the straps, and they have a rubber divider between the strap and the tank to prevent metal on metal wear when you're driving down the road. The cap is also present, and it is tight. It's not leaking. The rubber seal on the inside is good. Let's talk about our frames. We have our truck frame and our trailer frame all the way down. And we also have our cross members on both. We'll have cross members on the trailer and cross members on the trailer and cross members on the truck, sorry. The frames are properly secure. Everything's tight under the frames. Nothing's loose or missing hardware. There is no damage to the frames. No holes knocked in them, cracked, damaged, warped, bent, twisted. They're good looking frames, both truck and trailer and the cross members. Our air lines, let's talk about our coupling. So we have our blue service, red emergency, and green electrical. They are properly fastened and secure to the truck and to the trailer. There is no leaks or damage in the lines, no exposed wires. Again, they're secure to the truck properly, not leaking, and to the trailer. They're also raised up, so they're off of the catwalk at least 6 inches to make sure they're not rubbing or snagging on anything. You don't want to lose a line while you're driving down the road taking a corner. Underneath here we have our fifth wheel. So you have your fifth wheel, which is properly secured to the base of the fifth wheel, which is properly secured to the frame of the truck. No loose missing bolts, everything's tight and secure. There is no damage in the fifth wheel, and it is not illegally welded if it cracks. We have our release handle right here. It is in the locked position. There is no damage to the release handle, and I can tell it's locked by this safety pin right here. The apron is properly secured to the frame of the trailer. It's not damaged, cracked. Between the fifth wheel and the apron is no space, so there is no daylight coming through, and both are well greased. Coming back here, we have at least 3 feet of clearance between the mud flap and the landing gear, so when we're turning, we're not hitting the back of our truck or the back of the mud flap. Inside here, you have your locking jaws inside the fifth wheel. It's hard to see. The locking jaws have the kingpin. They're locked securely around the shank of the kingpin. There is no damage, and everything is well greased. We have our landing gear right here. It's properly mounted and secure to the frame. No loose or missing bolts or mounting hardware. There is no damage in the landing gear. It's not bent, broken, cracked, leaking grease. It's good gear, good landing gear. It's all the way raised up, and the crank is in its cradle or stowed, locked, however you want to say it. On the side of the truck, we have our lights on the trailer, our turn signal right here, marker, and the turn signal on the truck. They're amber in color, they're not cracked, they're not missing, and they're functional. The DOT tape on the side of the trailer is covering at least 50%. It's clean, clear, I can see it. Your bed right here, there's nothing loose on top of it that would come off when I'm driving down the road. There's no big holes in the deck, loose missing boards. It's a good looking trailer. It's ready to haul some freight. We have our tandem slide. So our tandem slide right here is properly mounted and secure to the slide. It's not damaged. There are no illegal welds. This pin is what secures the tandem slide. Make sure that's all the way out so you don't slip your trailer when you're driving, when you try and move it. Make sure the release handle is in the locked position, and it has safety pins. Should have safety pins. That's it. Now we're going to move on to the back of the trailer. We're going to check this marker light and these tail lights. Make sure that they are all red in color, red in the rear. No cracks in the lenses. Bulbs are functional. Nothing's missing. Good lights. And then we have our DOT tape that covers 100% of the rear. That's it. That's the 2024 September pre-trip inspection for the state of Utah.